Welcome to Transformation Talks, where we explore the world of hypnosis and its impact on mindset and mental health. I'm your host, Julie Chal, trauma-informed rapid transformational therapist, clinical hypnotherapist, educator, and coach. As this podcast may feature powerful hypnosis in some episodes, please avoid listening to the hypnosis section of this recording while driving or operating machinery. You may come back to this section of the podcast when you're seated comfortably without any distractions or lying down. Hypnosis is not suitable for those with epilepsy, psychosis, or severe mental health issues. In each episode, I'll guide you through real-life client stories, sharing insights from my practice and experience. Whether you're curious about hypnosis or seeking personal growth, you're in the right place. So sit back, relax, and get ready to explore the potential of hypnosis for positive change. So let's get started. You may be doing everything you can to manage your anxiety while overlooking the way you're abandoning yourself in everyday life. We often talk about anxiety as though it exists entirely inside the mind. We focus on overthinking, catastrophizing, and worrying about what might happen. But sometimes anxiety isn't only about the way you think or feel. Sometimes it's a response to the way that you're living. When what you show on the outside is repeatedly at odds with what you feel on the inside, it creates internal conflict. You say yes when you mean no. You pretend something is fine when it's not. And you stay quiet because you don't want to upset anyone. After a while, you may not recognize this as a boundary problem. You simply know that you feel anxious, resentful, tired, and overly responsible for everyone else. This is the link between anxiety, poor boundaries, and inauthenticity. Not because people with poor boundaries are fake, but because many people learned that being fully honest wasn't safe. For many people, this pattern begins early. You may have learned that being mature, helpful, or easy to rely on brought approval. You may have kept the peace, cared for other people, or learned not to ask for too much. This is especially common for eldest sons and daughters, but it's not exclusive to them. What looked like maturity may also have been a child learning that being useful helped them feel valued and secure. And that role can follow you into adulthood. You become the person who copes, the one who sorts things out, the one who everyone relies on. Being needed feels familiar, and having needs feels vulnerable. And this is why boundaries are not simply about knowing how to say no. The real difficulty is what saying no seems to mean. You ask yourself, if I stop being who this person needs me to be, will I still matter to them? So you say yes. In the moment, that can bring relief. Conflict has been avoided. The other person is happy. But the discomfort hasn't disappeared. It's moved inside you. And now you're carrying the pressure of doing something you didn't want to do. You may feel resentful, trapped, or frustrated with yourself for not speaking honestly. And the relationship remains peaceful, but your body carries the tension. And this is how poor boundaries can contribute to anxiety. You're managing two competing realities, what you genuinely feel and what you believe you are allowed to express. And you're continually editing yourself to prevent someone else's reaction. And that is exhausting. Now, there's another way this pattern keeps anxiety going. When people only see the dependable, capable version of you, You never get to find out how they would respond to the real you. And that uncertainty keeps you vigilant. You continue monitoring what you say, what you ask for, and how much of yourself you reveal because the relationship feels secure only while you remain easy to rely on. You want to be known, but being seen feels risky. And that can keep anxiety going because you're always maintaining a version of yourself rather than simply being yourself. And this is why healthy boundaries can initially feel uncomfortable. They reveal something real about you, what you need, what you cannot carry, what no longer works for you. The other person may be disappointed. They may not like the change. And your nervous system may interpret that discomfort as danger. And you may want to take the boundary back, over-explain, or apologize. But guilt doesn't always mean you have done something wrong. Sometimes it means you have broken an old rule. A rule that said you must always be available, useful, and easy to deal with in order to remain accepted. Holding a boundary allows you to discover whether that rule is actually true. And some relationships may become more difficult because they worked better when you had no limits. Healthy boundaries don't guarantee that every relationship will remain the same. They reveal whether the relationship has space for the real you. A boundary is not about always putting yourself first. It's about no longer automatically putting yourself last. It's the point at which you stop asking other people for permission to be yourself. Because when you continually suppress what you feel and organize your life around remaining acceptable, anxiety has a reason to persist. So ask yourself, where in my life am I creating the most internal conflict by not being honest with myself? And what is one small step I can take today to begin changing that? You may already know that a boundary is needed, but still feel unsure about where to begin or guilty about what might happen when you change the pattern. And that is exactly why I created my free workbook, Boundaries Without Guilt. It will help you recognize where your boundaries may be unclear, understand what is making them difficult to hold, and begin taking practical steps towards healthier boundaries. You can find it through the link in this episode description. Thank you for joining me for today's episode. If this resonated with you, hit subscribe and share it with someone who may need to hear it. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for tuning into Transformation Talks. If you've enjoyed this show, please tap the follow button and share it with someone who may benefit from it. Your support means the world to me. If this podcast has helped you in any way, I'd greatly appreciate it if you could leave a review in the show notes. Lastly, if any of these episodes have resonated with you and you'd like support, please book a connection call with me. The link is in the show notes. Thank you again for listening, and I look forward to connecting with you next week.